Hey, what's up? It's Ben from WOD Prep, and today I'm going over the ultimate guide to box jumps. So if you're a functional fitness athlete or a CrossFitter, this video is going to teach you the ins and outs of box jumps. I have my lovely fitness model slash demo person slash person who's way better at CrossFit than me, Casey. She is here to do the demos as I walk her through various things like the standards, points of performance, and I'm also going to give you some tips. If you are having trouble doing box jumps efficiently and effectively, maybe you can't quite jump as high as you want, this is the video for you. And we're also going to cover some of the new rules that CrossFit HQ has released, because there are a couple little new, fresh nuances that have changed the game in recent years during the CrossFit Open. So stay tuned, and if you stick around to the end of this video, I have a completely free training guide I would love to send you. It's a training guide that's going to help you RX more workouts, and I'll give it to you at the end if you stick around. Okay, so let's talk about a standard box jump. So in most CrossFit workouts, if you just see box jumps, Casey's going to demonstrate here. So a box jump, you have this box. All she's going to do is jump on top of the box, and then the standard of the movement is that you need to land on top of the box and then get full hip and knee extension. So show us what that looks like, and then freeze. Good. So you can see here her hips are fully extended and her knees are fully extended, and she has control on top of the box. She's not falling. I've definitely seen some people stand on top and then they like try to stand and then they're also falling back down. Technically that's a no rep. So this is a good rep. The rep is complete when she's on top of the box. So this is a good rep. And then she can get down, and we'll talk about various ways to do that later. So really quick, let's show them a couple faults here. So show me lack of hip extension or lack of knee extension. So that would be if you jump on the box and they go down, maybe do a couple like that. Okay, these are no reps because she's not getting that full knee and hip extension. So show us one more good rep, up and fully extended. So you see how before she went back down, she got those knees and hips fully extended with control on top of the box. Now, another thing to note is you don't have to have your feet all the way on the box, but it certainly is something that we suggest. Another standard that we must talk about when it comes to the box jump is you need to jump with 2 feet. So it's a 2-footed takeoff. And what that means is you can't prance onto the box. So could you show us like what that might look like? Yeah, sure. Here, I'm really good at prancing. I'll demo. So this technically would be an illegal box jump. Okay? And what's happening here is basically you're leading with one leg and you're basically just jumping off of one leg. Technically, by most standards, that would be a no rep. We need to have a 2-footed takeoff and landing. And then what you do after that kind of all depends on the standards. So let's show one more. Let's do a bad one. See if you can do the prance. I'm going to teach you how to prance.
Okay,
yep.
We're going to see.
There you go. There you go. So that's the prancing box jump. That's no rep. And then a good one would be a 2-foot takeoff, 2-foot land, full hip extension, full knee extension, and back down. Okay, and then next, let's talk about how to get down. We're going to go over this a little bit later, some of the things that I suggest. But the standard, depending on how it's written and the competition and yada, 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 the standard for most CrossFit competitions, especially the Open, is you can either jump down or step down. Recently, in the CrossFit Open, as of this shooting, they actually required you to step down from box jump overs to prevent injury. We're going to get into that a little bit later, but let's just talk about the 2 different versions of how to get down. So a jump up and jump down would look like this. So I get extension and then I'm jumping off. You can't go. That'd be a no rep. You can model the one that I can tell that you always do, which is the jump up and step down. So jump up, full hip extension with control, and step down. Doesn't matter which foot you're step down with. There's no rule or anything like that you have to alternate. It's basically you get up on the box, show full hip and knee extension, and then you get down off the box. As long as you're doing that, it's going to be a good box jump. Okay, so now Casey and I are going to go over the different versions of the box jump. So the first and fastest box jump, and actually this is something you haven't really done very much of because we were just practicing it. Let's see if she can do it, is the fully rebounding box jump. So remember, she needs to jump all the way on top of the box, but then when she jumps down, she immediately springs back up to the next rep. Now before she goes, have you signed the waiver?
Yes.
No, she hasn't. I know she hasn't. So hopefully she doesn't explode her Achilles, because before we do this, even though this is the fastest version of a box jump, I personally know several athletes, very, very fit, highly mobile athletes that have exploded their Achilles tendon or both of them doing rebounding box jumps. I personally don't think they're worth it, but this wouldn't be a real box jump video without mentioning what they are. So let's show everyone what it looks like. And if you can't do it, I'll step in because I used to do these all the time. And miraculously, I'm not injured yet. There you go. Boom. Cool. Good. And relax. Okay. Don't want to give her too many. So as you can see, what she was doing there is she jumps fully on the box, and I'll actually just do it really slow. She jumps fully on the box, gets that full hip extension. She's not jumping off yet because remember, she has to get full hip extension and knee extension with control. And then from here, she jumps down and then immediately springs back up with no pause. And I paused a little bit there. But normally what's happening here is you're landing on the ball of your foot with basically like a spring and immediately jumping back on the box. And that's where that impact tends to catch people. I've seen a lot of people get injured doing that. So while it's the fastest, I don't necessarily recommend it. Let's show a jump up and jump down, but with a little bit of a pause. So this is where she's doing the box jump, and then at the bottom, you'll notice she's just pausing just a little bit. And what that does is that reduces the impact on her Achilles, so she has less chance to pop one of them. A lot of times for me, what I do is I tend to jump up, and I jump down, and I just kind of like, I rock back onto my heels. And when I rock back onto my heels just a little bit, I know that it is taking the pressure off that Achilles. So I'm up, extension, and I just kind of rock back. So you can see I like send my hands back, and that sets me up for the next rep. And it just kind of gives me that little bit of a pause at the bottom of each rep that sets me up for the next one, okay? Now, the next box jump we're going to talk about, I think is the one that you like to do the most, and that is the jump up and step down. So show us a few of those. You can see she's doing the same thing, getting those hips and knee extended. As soon as she gets that full extension with control, she's immediately stepping down. And you can see it's still pretty freaking fast. It's fast, it has a really good cadence, and that's the one that you prefer?
If there's a lot of volume, yeah.
Okay, so if there's a ton of volume, it's also the one that I really like to teach my athletes. It just allows you to keep a nice steady pace. You're not gonna pop an Achilles or tear something, or there's less impact on that jump down. As soon as she got down from the rep, she would get down and then her hands are ready to go and immediately jump back up. So even though she's not rebounding, she's kind of just like barely tapping that secondary foot, so that trailing leg comes down, boom, immediately back up. And it's a really, really efficient way to do box jumps. A box jump video wouldn't be complete without at least mentioning a couple other different versions. We're just talking about the standard box jump here, but there's also a box jump over and a burpee box jump. So really quick, the box jump over has a different standard than a normal box jump. Remember, that normal box jump, we need hips and knees fully extended at the top. A box jump over, the only standard is you start on one side of the box, have a 2-footed takeoff, and end up on the other side of the box, usually. In the CrossFit Open recently, the standard was you actually had to make contact with the top and step down. So we're going to show you a couple of those. So first, let's do like just a jump up and jump over. Do a few of those really fast where you're just jumping. Okay, so you can see she's just rebounding. You'll notice she's not getting full hip extension at the top. That's totally legal, okay? Because the standard for usual box jump overs is you start on one side, you end up on the other. Technically, if she wanted to, I won't even make her do it, but technically if she wanted to, I've seen some competitions where you can jump completely over the box, okay? Not recommended because you're gonna burn out. Recently in the Open, they had a new standard, and thankfully you reminded me of this prior to shooting this video, and that's you had to jump up and step down. Can you show me how you were doing those? So you can see she just gets on top of the box and then is actually stepping down and setting up for the next rep. Perfect. All right, thanks. So that is a great way to do box jump overs. If you want more nitty-gritty details on the perfect efficiency and the perfect stepping sequence for box jump overs, you can go check out some of my previous CrossFit Open videos where they programmed box jump overs, and I go into a lot more detail on the efficiencies there. Next, burpee box jump overs. There's a million different varieties. If you want to learn more about burpees, go type into the search bar or go look on YouTube for WOD Prep burpees. I have a whole video where I go into lots of detail about the various types of burpees and how to do them, but the standard of a burpee box jump over is essentially, depending on whether it's box facing or a normal one, it's normally your chest hits the deck, so your chest hits the ground on one side, you jump with 2 feet and end up on the other side. So it's literally just like the box jump over, you just have to throw a burpee in on the front end of it. So can you show us one of those? So this would be a box facing burpee box jump over. Perfect. You can see the standard here is chest touches the deck, and then she ends up on the other side of the box. Pretty simple stuff. All right, relax. Another thing, when you're counting the burpee box jump overs, the rep isn't complete until you get to the other side of the box. Okay, so I'm sure you've seen it, where like people, they'll do their burpee, right? They get over the box and they're like, all right. And then they're done. You've only completed a half rep on the second rep. You have to make sure you get over the box for it to be complete. That's a personal pet peeve of mine. So let's talk about a few tips that will help you become a better box jumper. Number one is remember to use your arms. So while the box jump is very leg dominant, you're going to feel most of the fatigue in your legs. If you're not using your arms to get on the box, you're doing box jumps very inefficiently. So show us just a couple of your favorite style of box jumps and just use your arms like you normally would. You can see how she takes her arms, she swings them back behind her body, and then they end up in front of her body, and it's generating a lot of momentum. Now, try to do the same thing without using your arms.
Okay.
It's super awkward and very, very weird.
A lot harder.
Okay, it's a lot harder. You actually have to think about it. Typically, I like to see athletes get at least 3/4 of their foot on the box. Ideally more, because if I aim to get my whole foot on the box, the chances of me failing and falling and tripping and slipping off the edge is very low. But for the athletes who only get their toes in the box, I've seen a lot of times where they slip, they miss, boom, their shin connects with the box, and now they're bleeding everywhere, okay? Another thing that I see, and I won't even make her demonstrate because I've seen so many people fall doing this, is people, like, they're just not looking where they're jumping. I think that's kind of ridiculous. Like, if I want to jump here, I'm going to look there until I land. But some people are like they look up and you can't even see the box in the peripheral. That's very dangerous, and there's a chance you're going to miss. Okay, so keep your eyes on the target. Try to get your foot all the way on the box. I wouldn't necessarily recommend jumping that far on the box because that's just inefficient. You don't need to go that far. But if you can just get your heels barely over the edge, I think that's a really, really great place to be for the box jump. So the last thing I want to talk about, this is a common issue that I see with a lot of beginner box jumpers, is they end up being very squatty. So let's show a couple like bad demos. So show us what a squatty box jump looks like. Good. That would be a no rep. Make sure you do a good rep.
It's important you hinge.
Yeah, try it again. Good. And do it even more aggressively. Like I've seen people go, yep, like all the way down. Okay, relax. You'll notice here, what is she doing? She's jumping up on the box and then also doing some sort of air squat. For whatever reason, some people, they don't know how to engage their posterior chain. So they keep their torso super vertical and they land in this like super squatty position. And I've seen people do box jumps where every single time they jump on the box, they're like ass to grass squatting. And that is very, very inefficient because not only do you have to jump, but you're also adding a squat in there. It's crazy. So what we want to do, and if you can get in position here, slow motion, just show me how are you normally setting up to jump. You can notice, what is she doing? She's hinging at her hips. So right now, her glutes, her hamstrings aren't, like her hamstrings, I can actually feel them super engaged, super tight. Her hands are in a good jumping position so she can swing them through. And then when she actually goes to jump, she's exploding all that tension, all that potential energy she has. She's exploding up, getting full hip extension. And then when she lands, she's landing in almost the exact same position. So let's do a few reps, just nice and deliberate, good. You can see how when she's loading her legs, she's using the biggest muscles in her legs, her hamstrings, her glutes, and she's able to get on the box using those hands to help generate momentum. So I love to see the hinge to jump rather, and I'll show you from the side here, I'd rather see you hinge and then jump, landing in this hinge position. So it might be a little squatty, that's fine. I just don't want to see a full air squat. That'd be ridiculous and it's inefficient. But you're landing in this hinge position, and then when you go to jump again, you're back into this hinge. You're not keeping your torso up and squatting, okay? If I was going to tell someone to jump as high as they possibly could, they're never going to go like this and jump, right? If I told you to jump as high as you possibly could without a box or anything, you're going to naturally hinge forward like this pretty far, and then you're going to explode up because your body naturally knows how to generate that upward momentum. So if you're someone that struggles to jump onto a normal size box, this is a standard 3x1 box. So we have 3 different sizes. We have 20 inches, 24, and 30. Okay, so again, 30 inches is normally what these boxes, the highest setting is, then we have 24 inches and then 20 inches. And your box might be different, but let's say you're having issues jumping to the standard that you need. Maybe 20 inches is still too difficult for you. So you might look something like this, getting ready to do a box jump. You're like this, and then it winds up looking like that, right? You're just too afraid to jump. You can't figure it out. You run up to it and then you freeze. It's a real thing. Box jump fear is totally normal. I've seen it in a lot of different athletes, and it's okay. I'm going to teach you how to get around that. So the first thing we do is we get rid of the box. So we're going to replace the box with something shorter. So as you've probably heard me mention in other videos, I like to scale reps or ROM, which means range of motion. So that's what we're doing here, is we're scaling the range of motion. So if you can't jump onto 20 inches, guess what? We're going to see what can you jump onto. Same rules apply here. I'm still hinging. I'm still using all the same mechanics. Can you jump up on top of this? I know it seems silly. It's like, Ben, that's ridiculous. That's so short, okay? If this is so short that it's too easy for you, you're like, I got that all day long, then our goal here is to just keep adding height to this box, in air quotes. All right, I can do it. Let's add some more. You need to keep adding weights or keep adding height to your makeshift box until eventually you're freaking out and you can't quite get up there. I've seen people in one day, in one session, use this technique. They just keep adding plates. They just add a plate, do a few jumps, add a plate, do a few jumps, add a plate, do a few jumps, and then before they even know it, they're jumping higher than the lowest setting of their box. And they're just like, oh my God, how did that happen? It's called progressive overload. We're just slowly but surely exposing ourselves to a higher jump, using all the same rules, all the same mechanics. The good thing about these bumper plates, especially the heavier ones, is they're really sturdy, right? The chances of the plate flying or falling or anything like that, it's very minimal. And normally the edges are less sharp on these than they are on a traditional box. So if you're having trouble on a traditional box, just try stacking plates until you get to or above the standard that you're trying to jump to, and then move back to the box and see if that works for you. So the final scale, the final modification that I've used with success is simply adding a PVC pipe. So for athletes, for whatever reason, they're having trouble jumping onto the sharp, square, rectangular box, I'll take a plate, put it on top of the box, put a PVC pipe under the plate. So something like that, okay? You're still jumping to the same height that would be required to jump onto the 20-inch box. You just, for whatever reason, it removes that mental barrier of a sharp rectangular object. So really simple, you can just jump over and back. I've seen people jump over this laterally, but especially if we're trying to have it carry over to the box jump, I would do exactly like Casey just did. Show us one more time. She's squaring up to the PVC, doing all the same mechanics that we talked about, and she's jumping up and over. And if she does fail, I'll do it because I don't know how this is going to go. But if she does fail, right, the chances of this PVC actually hurting us, very, very low compared to a sharp box that's either made of wood or metal. So I hope that you liked this video. I hope that you learned a lot. In the comments below, let me know how many no reps did she do in this video. And I'm going to throw you under the bus. Yeah, don't give it away. In the comments below, let me know how many no reps did she do, how many no reps did I do. I probably did a couple. And also, I would like to know, what is one thing that you're going to take away from this video that you're going to apply to yourself or maybe some athletes that you're coaching? As promised earlier in this video, I have a completely free training guide I'd love to send you. It's actually an ebook that I wrote, and we've got a lot of great feedback from it. So if you want to learn how to become a better RX athlete and climb the leaderboard and get better at this fun thing we call CrossFit, go to wadprep.com/ebook, or you can click the top comment below, or I'll have the link in the description. So if you liked the video and you liked her wonderful demonstrations, give us a thumbs up. If you think I'm a terrible coach, give me a thumbs down. Smash the subscribe button so that way you don't miss any more videos. We actually have a few more videos that we're shooting today that are going to be ultimate guides to various movements. So stay tuned and stay on the lookout for those, and you'll get notifications if you're subscribed to the channel. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.